What's up, y'all? It's JC. If you're new, welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. And please hit that like button to help the channel grow and to get me on that algorithm. But, anyways, we got some NBA news. We got some LeBron James news this past weekend. He opted into his 52 million player option for the 2025-2026 season. And this is what Rich Paul had to say according to Shams. Paul adds, LeBron knows that the Lakers are building for the future, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. Now, when this, quote dropped, it kind of put people on edge. It's like, oh, is LeBron asking to be traded? Does he want to get out of LA? When of course, they traded for Luca last year, that sent shockwaves throughout the entire sports world, NBA world. People just didn't see that coming. And it's pretty much like, okay, LeBron, we thought you were going to hand the keys over. We thought the keys were going to be handed over to AD, but now we got Luca. It's no doubt that the keys will be handed over to Luca. So they're planning for the future, no doubt. So when Rich Paul said that, it's like, oh, that caused people to pause in terms of, will LeBron be with the Lakers this upcoming season, or will he be elsewhere? And then I think today, Bobby Marks of ESPN had a quote. He said he's making 53 million. He's in the last year of his contract. He's 40 years old, and I talked to numerous teams yesterday and asked that same question. Would you give up basically the farm? Basically, you would have to give up 4 or 5 players to get LeBron James for 1 year. And the unanimous answer was no, they wouldn't. So Bobby Marks says that, it's not really a trade, market for LeBron James because, like he mentioned, LeBron is 40. Even, who who's gonna, trade for him when you just pretty much getting you don't know if you even getting, you know 2 years out of him. This might be the last year for LeBron. Announcement could be coming. He may, before the season starts, he may say, hey, this is my last go around. So that's something that teams, that they turn away from that. Now, my opinion is that LeBron and Rich Paul, they were just kind of putting pressure on the Lakers, like, hey, I'm on, this may be my last ride, or next year may be my last ride. It's time to go and get one. It's time to go get the championship, or at least really be in contention, like be a legitimate threat to come out the West. And with recent NBA news, you're looking at a major flaw or missing piece for the Lakers was after they traded AD, they really didn't have a big man presence. They really didn't have one. A dominant big, not even a dominant big, like a serviceable one, or a guy you just okay, they got him, so they got rim protection. They didn't really have that. So major news, not major news, but big news in connection to the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton and the Portland Trailblazers have agreed to a buyout. So DeAndre Ayton, we know DeAndre Ayton, former #1 overall pick. He was on that Suns team that went to the championship a couple years ago. And he's now available. And that would be pretty much like a perfect storm, man, for the Lakers to go out and get a DeAndre Ayton and then add some other pieces. Because when you're looking at the roster, of course, you got Luca, you got Braun, you got Austin Reeves. But after that, it's like, who else did the team really have, man? You go out, get a big, I think they should go get DeAndre Ayton. I think most Lakers fans, or I think that makes the most sense. I think Lakers fans would agree with that. If that's the best option, go get them. And I think you need some a little bit more, juice off that bench. People may, sneeze at this or kind of, maybe not really pay attention to it too much, but I think, you know, Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul would be a good move for the Lakers. Um, he mentioned, I know there was something that came out the other day that he wanted to, be around LA. That's where he wanted to play. Of course, he played with the Clippers in his prime before the Houston trade. So I think Chris Paul will be great coming off the bench for the Lakers, um, or maybe even starting. Who knows how that lineup would shake? I would assume coming off the bench with Luca, pretty much being that point forward, LeBron being that point forward. So I think Chris Paul, you go get DeAndre Ayton. Those would be kind of the two targets for this off season. And we know that Chris Paul, he's good friends with LeBron. So I think LeBron has, he's kind of checked the box off everybody, all his, closest friends in the NBA. He's played with D Wade. He's played with Chris Bosh. He's played with Melo. And now I think Chris Paul is, the last guy. So I think those are the two moves to make. Go get DeAndre Ayton to, get, a big man presence. I know, and one thing with DeAndre Ayton, I think the only question about him that pops up in his, has popped up in his career, his motor. Like you see at times he's like not giving the effort you think he should on a given play, so that'll be a thing to kind of look into. But I think he may be the best option. But then you go get a Chris Paul, and then you may add some other pieces, or hey, they may even make a trade for another vet or so. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out. But I think LeBron is staying in LA. I just don't see him anywhere else at this point in his career. And I don't, like Bobby Mark said, I don't see any team, you know, really making a huge move for him. People brought up the Knicks, people brought up going back to Cleveland, but who do they give up? Who do they give up? Are you really going to give up? If you're looking at the Knicks situation, are you really going to give up? I'm trying to see the contract. Like, what contracts really match up with LeBron? Well, you need a third team, to take on the load of the deal. Are you realistically probably like an OG Anunoby or a Mikal Bridges? You throw them in that deal for LeBron if you think about the Knicks, but do you really see that happening? And with Cleveland, I'm trying to see who makes how many contracts can you put together that you know you know sums up 53 mil for a year. I can't think of one right now. Like, who do you move in, like a Jared Allen, I'm assuming, and there has to be some more guys as well. So it's just something that in this moment it doesn't seem um realistic. That's it just doesn't. So those are my thoughts in the comments. Let me know yours.